Hello everyone, my name is Hussein and I'm going to be your instructor for this Python series. So the first video that we're going to be covering is basically the installation of Python. So how do you actually get Python on your computer? Well, first we're going to start with the Windows method and then move on to the Mac OS method. And for those Linux users out there, the Mac OS method is pretty much exactly the same as the Linux method, so no worries there. And yeah, let's just get started. So the first method that we're going to go over is the Windows method. So first thing you have to do is go over to python.org, okay, and then head over to downloads. And once you go there, then select Windows from over here, or whatever other operating system you're using. In this case we're using Windows, so you go to Windows and you select this version over here, which is the latest release of Python 3. In all of our series we are going to be using Python 3, the latest version of Python. So I would not recommend installing Python 2 because a lot of things are different in it, and you may face some errors and may not understand what's really going on, since it won't really work properly. So this website is Python's official website, and it basically downloads the command line version of Python. So what do I mean by command line version? We're going to see that once we install it. So you can either access Python from the Python shell, it's called a shell or command line itself, or you can access it through your CMD. So like Windows, it has a CMD, and you can just use that CMD to just execute your Python code. So let's move on over here. So this is Python 3.8.5, which we access through this first link in the download section for Windows. So you click here and then you just go down over here and you have a lot of files for all the different operating systems. And since we're using Windows right now, depending on your system, I'll tell you how to check your system real quick. So go to control panel, and if you're using Windows 10, obviously this method is for Windows 10 users only. Anyways, Windows 7 is basically dead by now, so anyways, okay. Windows 10, how do you do this? So first things first, you go into system and security, and once you go there you'll see system. Click on system, and then once that opens up, just look at your system type. It should say 64-bit or 32-bit operating system, and then a comma, and then x32 or 64 based processor. So if it's 32, you download a different file, and if it's 64, you download a different file. So all of these files which have a dash 64 on them, they should be installed with the 64 version, but all these other ones are 32 ones, and those should be installed if you have a 32 version. So I personally have a 64 version, so I'm just gonna go ahead and install one of these. So I personally recommend that you use the executable installer because it's the easiest for beginners to do. So I'm gonna go ahead and download it over here, and as you can see it's saved up. I'll just call it Python and save it. And as you can see, the files are downloading over here, and now we're going to move on into installing it and seeing how Python shell actually works and how you're supposed to install it. Okay guys, so now we're gonna actually install Python. We've downloaded it successfully. As you can see, it's in my downloads folder over here. So now let's go ahead and install it. So the first thing you do is just click on the installation file, and once it loads, okay, so now you get the option to install Python 3.8.5. Now you have to follow all of the steps that I show you, otherwise it's gonna cause some problems. All right, so first things first is be sure to check this checkbox of add Python 3.8 to path. This is extremely important, and if you don't do it, then well, it's gonna cause some further problems. So now we'll go into install now. Don't choose customized installation because it'll be too complex and you don't really need to do that right now. So install now. Once you click on that and just accept it over here, it should start installing the Python part, so the development libraries, the core interpreters, the executables, and is this, some other stuff that Python basically uses to run its shell. So once this installs, I'm gonna just do a small command on screen to check if it's working or not, and then I'm actually gonna show you why the Python compiler, this thing which is installing, is not really the best option for following our Python series or any Python series for that matter. The reason being that it's good for doing short-term code. So let's say you have 5 or 10 lines of code that you want to execute, so you can just execute one after the other and it's fine, because this compiler basically outputs every output after every line. So how does it usually work in, let's say, a normal Python file? You write all your code, you click on the run button to execute it, and the whole file executes together. But what happens over here is that it executes line by line. So imagine, let's say you're making and there's this thing in Python called a list or a class, and imagine if you're making that and it spans over 5 to 10 lines. Sometimes it can span over hundreds of lines even, although that doesn't really happen, but it's possible, it happens. So what are you supposed to do? If you get the output after each line, it'll just throw an error at you. What are you doing? So that's why I don't really recommend this for big or complex code. It's just good for testing out like small bits of code that you have, or that you just want to mess around with and stuff. But otherwise, I would recommend you to follow our second or third softwares that we're going to be introducing in this video. So once this finishes installing, man, this takes a long while. So just make sure you have a stable internet connection, because if it doesn't get internet connection, then it isn't able to install. So just be careful about that. Okay, Shayan, this part's getting super long. I don't know why it's taking this long. Just cut this part out, okay? Okay guys, so now as you can see, Python was successfully installed. So after this, what you're supposed to do is just forget all of this stuff and you can just close it together, okay? And now that you've done that, you have pretty much just installed Python. Now how do you start the Python compiler or interpreter? Go into your search bar and just search for Python over here, and Python 3.8 64-bit, or it'll show 32 in case you have a 32-bit installation. Just click on that, and as you can see, this opens up like this. So what I meant by saying it executes each line separately is, for example, if I write a print function, which you will learn in our further videos what it is, and if I write hello world, as you can see, it just directly shows the output right after I wrote the first line. But what if I want to write two print functions? So let's say I want to write two hello worlds like this. It'll just print it out after every line. So that's a problem. What if you have like 5 hello worlds that you want to print out all together at the end, not line by line? You don't want to do that way. You can't really do much about this because that's just how command lines work and this Python interpreter works. But now we are gonna move on to the second method of running Python on your computer, and yeah, let's get to it. Hey guys, so we're back and now we're gonna be doing the second method of how you can run Python on your computer. So over here, what you can do is for VS Code, you can go down here or choose your appropriate file system, or most probably whatever system you're using, it'll just show the perfect file for it over here, and you can just click this button to download it. Now I already have Visual Studio downloaded. Be careful to install Visual Studio Code and not Visual Studio itself, because that's much harder to use. Also, you have to go to this website to install it, code.visualstudio.com. And I already have the file installed with me. So yeah, let's just get into installing it. Okay guys, now you should be seeing the installer on my screen. and yeah, let's just get into it. So first things first, you have to accept the agreement, so just click on that. Then choose where you want to install it. The default place is fine for me. Then choose what name you want to save it as. I'll just save it as Visual Studio Code, doesn't really matter. Okay, now this part is really important. So if you want a desktop icon, you should do that. But otherwise, I recommend you tick all these four checkboxes over here. This one definitely a must. But these three, it's better if you do it. The reason, these two basically make it so if you use Internet Explorer, nobody really uses that, but still, if you use Windows Explorer, Internet Explorer, it'll automatically open VS Code as your default editor for any of your files or directories or whatever. And this third one over here is register code as an editor for supported file types. So basically all of your code files will automatically be opened up in here. So again, I recommend that you tick all these four boxes. Let's continue. And as you can see, it shows your details here, and you can just click on install, and as you can see, it's starting to install now. And this is going to take a while over here. And okay, the difference between this and the normal Python shell is that the Python shell, as I said, is good for small commands, but this Visual Studio Code over here, it's basically good for long code. So like if you're making an actual app, or if you're actually building something that has lots of lines of code and you want to execute it all at once, then this is pretty much the best compiler that you can use, VS Code. It's a really, really good compiler made by Microsoft, and right, it's almost done downloading. And yeah, we're done. Okay, now after you do this, we're gonna launch Visual Studio, and we're just gonna have a quick look of how it works. So let's go. Okay guys, so as you can see, I'm inside Visual Studio Code right now, and let's just go and create a new Python file. So how are you supposed to do that? You can see shortcuts to do it over here. So you can open a file or open a folder and do all of this stuff here. But I'll just do it the manual way. So you go into File, you go into New File over here. So Control N is the shortcut, and as you can see, a new file has opened over here. Now you may be confused, like, okay, this just looks like a normal text file. What am I supposed to do here? Okay, the thing is that first of all you have to type your code out. Okay, so I'm just doing the print function like I did in the last example. Hello world, like that. Okay, and I'm gonna save my file using Control S. Okay, now that it's saved, it'll ask me how I want to save my file. So you can see that you have tons of options here. I'm quite sure you can't actually see this, but uh, basically do Control S to save it, and then in your file name just select how you want to save it as. So I'll just write Visual Studio Code, and in the section called save as type, you can just select that and choose Python. Just scroll through the list, and you should see Python down between R and pug. So just choose that, click on save, and as you can see, suddenly everything has changed. And see what it says over here: the Python extension is recommended for this file type. Now this happens whenever you write some code and the interpreter or compiler of that code is not available in Visual Studio Code. That's the good thing about Visual Studio. You just have to save your file in whatever programming language you're programming in, and it automatically downloads the extension that you need. That's the very, very good thing about it. Or if you want to download extensions manually, you can also do it through the marketplace over here. Right now it's actually installing, but otherwise you can go over here to the marketplace, and you can install whatever extension, programming languages extension you want to. And right now I'm just installing Python so I can run this code, and as you can see, it has been installed successfully. So follow these steps over here to use your Python interpreter. So it may show you this message over here, and it's better if you do install the linter. It's pretty important. It's good. Okay, now after you do that, you'll see all of this stuff appear over here. but this isn't really important, so you can just close the panel. Now go back to your Visual Studio file over here, right? And click on this button over here, which is used to run the code. And as you can see, I have done that, and it's doing some stuff over here. This is basically the initial installation process. This won't happen each and every time. And yeah, you can just make this bigger right here. So I'm just gonna do that. And it's running some setup stuff, and then it should be done. Okay. Again, Shayan, this part's getting super boring. Just cut it out, okay? I'm just gonna start speaking when once this is downloaded, and then you just continue from there, okay? Yeah. Pretty boring. Okay guys, so now you can see that the whole thing's been installed, and as you can see, I have ran the command and it printed out hello world just like it did in the normal shell. So let me just print something else for confirmation. First things first, let me go over here and CLS. Okay, I cleared it, and now I can just go in here and let me just write hello normally, and I can click on this button over here, and as you can see, it prints on screen, so it says hello over here. So that means that Visual Studio Code is working just fine, and you can just continue using it normally as you would with our upcoming tutorials, and you can save the files in a folder if you like. And now with that done, let's move on to the third, and in my opinion the easiest method, and that's using replit for using Python, and it supports other programming languages as well. So let's get into that. Okay guys, so this is the third way that you can get started coding, and this is through repl.it. Personally, my most favorite method. So how does this work? First things first, let's make a new account together. So I'm gonna click on sign up. All right, and then over here you can just sign in with your stuff. I'm gonna tick this box because I'm a teacher. And then you can just keep names for yourself. You can keep a username, your email. Okay, and you can keep a password and sign up. And once I do that, okay. um Shayan, can you just speed up this process, like using some kind of video editing trick? I don't know, or just cut this whole part out, like cut this whole sign up part out. I don't know, whatever is best. This is such an annoying process, this setup video. Oh my goodness. Yeah, just cut this whole part out, Shayan. Just cut this whole part out, okay? Cut the whole part out until I just like start normally again. Like what the hell? Now I have to verify my stupid email. Come on. Come on. Oh my goodness. Why do we have an email there? Bruh. Come on. Come on. Where's the email? Shayan, please cut this whole part out. This is stupid. Okay, what's your bruh, please stop. This is too much. Oh my good dude. Are you actually serious? Where's the email? Electron Academy 786 at. Yes, that's the email. What the hell's going on? Okay, Cheyenne, just cut all of this out. Just cut it all out. What the frick? Dude, where's the email? Where's the freaking email? You know what? You know what? Just forget it. Forget it. Just completely forget it. Okay? I don't even care right now. I'm just gonna. Okay, just a second. Okay, Cheyenne, I'm continuing. Okay? I'm continuing. Yeah. Okay, I'm continuing. Starting now. Okay guys, so here I am on my newly made REPL account. So this is the third method that we're gonna be using, and this is through repl.it. So I'll just tell you what this is. First of all, go to repl.it and sign up for an account. This place over here, repl.it, and then click on new REPL over here, and select Python from the list, and select the name of this REPL. So you can just write, for example, Python testing. In this case, that's what I'll do. You can keep your REPLs public or private if you have a premium account, and create REPL. Now it says REPL created, and just wait a few seconds and redirect you to your REPL. So the reason I like this is because all of your files are stayed in the cloud. You can upload files, you can download files over here as a zip. You can write your code over here and then click run to run it in the interpreter over here. You can do that. So let me try the print function again. Hello world, like that. I can just click the run button, and over here it should print the same output, hello world, over here. So personally, I recommend this method for all of you guys, because it's basically the easiest to set up. And yeah, so those are the three methods for this video. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope you were able to set up Python properly. If not, you can contact us in the description below through our socials. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Bye bye.